My phone buzzed while I was pouring coffee. I expected something normal, maybe Mia asking if I was coming home early. Instead, the message ended our entire relationship. There's another man now, and he gives me more than you ever could. So let's end this. For a few seconds, I just stared at the screen. My name is Nathan Cole, and after 3 years with my girlfriend, Mia, I thought I understood her better than anyone. She liked to run little tests. Loyalty tests. Jealousy tests. Situations designed to see how I would react. Most of the time I ignored them. But this message felt different. Colder. Like something she had already decided long before she typed it. I leaned against the kitchen counter and read the text again slowly. No apology. No explanation. Just a clean break delivered through a phone screen like the last 3 years meant nothing. 3 years. And it ended with a sentence. My reply took less than 10 seconds. Come get your stuff tonight. Otherwise the trash truck will. No anger. No arguing. Just closure. I set the phone down and walked into the bedroom. Half the closet belonged to her now. Dresses, jackets, shoes she had slowly moved in over the past year. I grabbed a suitcase and began folding everything calmly. 5 minutes later, my phone rang. Mia. I almost ignored it. But curiosity is stronger than pride. When I answered, the confidence in her voice was gone. Nathan, wait, she said quickly. Don't throw anything away. Why not? I asked. There was a long silence. Then she whispered something that instantly changed the situation. Because, he's here. For a moment, I thought I had misheard her. His where? I asked calmly. At the apartment, Mia whispered. Right now. I looked around my empty living room. That was impossible. Because I was still standing inside the apartment. The coffee machine hummed behind me. The suitcase of her clothes sat open on the bed. The front door hadn't opened since I woke up. So whoever she thought was here. Wasn't. You mean someone's with you, I said slowly. Another silence. Longer this time. Then her voice came back, tighter. Just, don't do anything stupid, Nathan. I'm coming to get my things. That confirmed it. She wasn't home. She thought the other guy had already arrived to pack her stuff. Interesting. I walked to the window and looked down at the parking lot. Her car wasn't there. So the man she had chosen over me was apparently waiting somewhere nearby. You've got 30 minutes, I said evenly. Then I hung up. Not angry. Just curious. Because people who think they're in control usually reveal the most when they believe the story is already over. 10 minutes later, headlights swept across the parking lot. A black SUV pulled in. The driver stepped out first. Tall. Confident. Expensive jacket. He looked around like someone arriving to claim something that already belonged to him. Then Mia stepped out of the passenger seat. She looked nervous. The man didn't. He walked toward my building like he owned the place. And suddenly I realized something strange. He wasn't here to help her move. He was here to meet me. I stayed where I was. No rushing to the door. No dramatic confrontation. Just patience. From the window, I watched them walk toward the entrance. Mia kept talking, her hands moving quickly like she was explaining something. The man barely reacted. Confident people rarely do. 30 seconds later, my doorbell rang. I opened the door calmly. Mia stood there first. Her makeup was perfect, but the tension in her eyes wasn't. Behind her, the man from the SUV looked me up and down like he was evaluating a used car. So you're Nathan, he said. No handshake. Just a statement. That depends, I replied evenly. Who's asking? He smiled slightly, like he enjoyed the moment. Eric Dalton. The name meant nothing to me. Mia stepped between us quickly. Nathan, we just came to pick up my things. Her tone was different now. Not confident like the text message. Controlled. Careful. I stepped aside and gestured toward the hallway. Suitcases in the bedroom, I said. Eric walked in first, scanning the apartment casually. Not curious, assessing. Like someone measuring space. Mia followed, avoiding eye contact. Inside the bedroom, she saw the suitcase on the bed. All her clothes neatly folded. Her expression shifted. You packed everything already? She asked quietly. Efficiency saves time, I said. Eric leaned against the doorframe. You handled that well, he said. Most guys would be losing their minds right now. I looked at him calmly. Most guys didn't get a breakup text that confident. For the first time, Mia looked uncomfortable. Eric just smiled. Then he said something that made the room suddenly feel smaller. Confidence usually comes from leverage. I studied Eric for a moment. He didn't look like the type who chased someone else's girlfriend for fun. His posture was relaxed, but there was calculation behind his eyes. Leverage. I repeated. He nodded slightly. That's usually how these situations work. Mia immediately stepped forward. Eric, stop, she said quietly. We're just here to get my things. Her voice had lost the arrogance from the text message. Interesting. Eric ignored her. Instead, he looked around my apartment again. The furniture, the desk by the window, the framed certificates on the wall. Then his eyes stopped on one thing. My laptop. You work remote? He asked casually. Sometimes, I replied. What field? Data security. That answer changed the atmosphere. Just slightly. Eric's smile faded for half a second. Then it returned. Interesting, he said. Mia grabbed the suitcase handle quickly. We're leaving, she said. But Eric didn't move. He was looking at me differently now. Not like a rival. Like a problem. You know, he said slowly, your girlfriend here told me you were a pretty simple guy. Quiet job. Predictable routine. Mia's face tightened. I said nothing. Because people talk more when silence makes them uncomfortable. Eric continued. She also said you wouldn't understand the kind of opportunities I'm offering her. I tilted my head slightly. And what kind of opportunities are those? His smile widened. Let's just say, business that pays a lot more than data security. That's when Mia suddenly spoke again. Nathan, please don't get involved in this. Her words weren't defensive. They were worried. And that's when something important clicked in my mind. This wasn't just about her leaving. This was about something much bigger than a relationship. Mia dragged the suitcase toward the door like she wanted to end the situation before it went any further. Eric, let's go, she said quickly. But Eric stayed exactly where he was. He was still looking at me. Not aggressively. Curiously. You really work in data security? He asked. Yes. What kind? Corporate infrastructure protection. Network intrusion analysis. Digital fraud detection. The room went quiet. Eric's smile returned slowly, but it didn't reach his eyes this time. That's convenient. Mia froze beside the door. Eric, she warned. He ignored her. Instead, he looked back at me. You ever notice how many companies think their systems are secure, until someone like me proves they are not? There it was. Not a confession. But close enough. Mia stepped forward again. Nathan, please don't ask questions. Her voice had completely changed now. Not arrogant. Not dismissive. Protective. Why? I asked calmly. She looked at Eric before answering. Because you don't understand the kind of people he works with. Eric chuckled softly. She's exaggerating. Then he leaned a little closer to me. But she's also not entirely wrong. I studied him quietly. You break into company systems, I said. He shrugged. Let's call it strategic access. And Mia knows about this. Mia closed her eyes for a moment. Yes. I nodded slowly. That explained the confidence in her breakup text. She hadn't been leaving for romance. She thought she had found power. Money. Opportunity. What she didn't realize yet was that she had just walked into a conversation with someone whose entire career existed to track people exactly like him. Eric stared at me for a second longer. Then he laughed. Not nervous. Not defensive. Just amused. Track people like me? He repeated. You think you're law enforcement or something? No, I said calmly. Just good at patterns. Mia stepped between us again. Nathan, stop. This isn't your problem anymore. But Eric raised a hand. No, let him talk. He seemed entertained now. Go ahead, he said. Explain the pattern. I leaned against the desk, keeping my tone steady. 3 weeks ago a logistics firm in Chicago reported a network breach. Their internal audit flagged unusual credential activity. Eric's smile faded slightly. Last week, I continued, a financial clearing company in Denver reported nearly the exact same intrusion method. Silence settled in the room. Mia looked confused. Eric didn't. Coincidences happen, he said. Sure, I replied. Except both breaches used the same encrypted relay structure. Now he was paying attention. And that relay, I added, ran through a private server cluster registered under an LLC in Nevada. Eric's expression changed. Only a little. But enough. You've been busy, he said quietly. Not personally, I replied. Just professionally. Mia looked between us, clearly realizing something she hadn't expected. Nathan, what exactly do you do? She asked slowly. I looked at her for the first time since they walked in. My team builds the intrusion tracing models that federal cybercrime units use. Eric stopped smiling completely. Which meant he finally understood something important. He hadn't come here to intimidate someone harmless. He had walked straight into the apartment of the guy already studying his network. For the first time since he walked in, Eric wasn't relaxed anymore. Not panicked. But alert. You're saying you work with federal cybercrime models, he said slowly. I said my team builds the systems they use. That distinction mattered. Eric crossed his arms, studying me carefully now. Interesting coincidence. It would be, I replied calmly. If I hadn't spent the last week analyzing a network intrusion pattern identical to the one you just described. Mia looked completely lost. Wait, what? Eric didn't take his eyes off me. So you think I'm responsible for those breaches? I don't think, I said. I trace. Silence stretched. Eric finally exhaled through his nose. Even if that were true, he said, you don't have proof. I shrugged slightly. Not yet. Mia stepped forward, her voice tight. Nathan, please, this has nothing to do with you. That's where you're wrong, I said quietly. I reached over to my laptop and turned the screen toward them. The map on the display showed dozens of server hops connected by encrypted tunnels. One node blinked red. Eric's server. His eyes locked on the screen. You've been watching this, he said. For a while. Why? Because whoever built that network got careless. I tapped one location on the map. The node expanded, revealing a registered access point. Right here. Our city. Eric's calm expression finally cracked. Because now he understood something crucial. This wasn't a jealous boyfriend situation. This was the moment he realized. The investigation had already reached him. Eric didn't say anything for a long moment. He just stared at the screen. The blinking red node. His node. Then he slowly looked up at me. So what now? He asked quietly. Mia's voice came out almost as a whisper. Nathan, please don't do something that will ruin lives. I turned the laptop back toward myself and closed it. You think this started tonight? I asked calmly. Neither of them answered. 3 weeks ago, I continued, a logistics company lost $8 million in manipulated transfers. Last week a financial clearing firm almost lost double that before the breach was contained. Eric remained silent. Mia looked horrified. You told me you were consulting for tech startups, she said to him. He didn't respond. That told her everything. I stood up and walked toward the door. You're leaving? Mia asked. No, I said evenly. I'm finishing my job. Eric's eyes narrowed slightly. You already reported this. It wasn't a question. I nodded once. Yesterday. At that exact moment, headlights swept across the window. 2 black SUVs rolled slowly into the parking lot. Eric saw them through the blinds. And for the first time since he arrived, he looked genuinely worried. You set me up, he said. I shook my head. No. Then I opened the door as footsteps approached the hallway. You walked into the wrong apartment. The knock came 3 seconds later. Federal agents. Mia looked at me like she was seeing a completely different person. Maybe she was. Because the man she thought she was leaving behind tonight was the one who had been quietly building the case that ended Eric Dalton's operation.